Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we're taking an in-depth look at a game that's been getting quite a bit of attention in the Western fantasy gacha community, Ancient Crown. The graphics are undeniably beautiful, but does the gameplay actually have enough depth, or is it just another game where you auto everything and sit back to watch? Let's dive into every aspect and find out. First of all, if you want to download the game, I've left the link in the description and in the comments. Now, let's move on to the monthly card. After downloading and installing the game, open the SuperV app. Once you're on the main interface, click on Me, then select Buy SuperV Pass. From there, choose the pass you want, complete the payment, and you'll receive your rewards. Now let's move on to the CDK code. Just follow the instructions shown here. My CDK code is NDLGamer. You can enter this code in the app to receive 100 free SuperV points. These points can be used to get discounts when making in-game purchases. Please note that you need to download the game through the link I provided for the CDK code to work. First, let's talk about the overall experience. Ancient Crown is a mobile gacha strategy game set in a Western fantasy world, where you'll collect and build your own adventure team made up of heroes with highly polished designs and distinct personalities. The first thing that immediately caught my attention when I launched the game was its visual quality. The game is built using next-generation modeling technology, combined with GPU particle effects and PBR rendering technology. In simple terms, the lighting, surface materials, and combat effects are designed with physically based rendering in mind, making the visuals feel much more lively and realistic compared to the average mobile gacha game. The core gameplay loop is quite familiar to anyone who has played gacha strategy games before. Complete missions to earn rewards, use resources to recruit new heroes, then upgrade and optimize your team to take on increasingly difficult challenges. One thing I particularly like is the idle system. You don't have to constantly grind the game to keep progressing, which makes it a great fit for busy players who still want to experience a decent level of strategic depth. Now, let's get into the part that newcomers are probably most interested in: how to avoid feeling overwhelmed during the early game. The basic principles of team building in this type of gacha strategy game are almost universal, and Ancient Crown is no exception. You generally want to divide your team into three main roles: a tanker in the front line to absorb damage, DPS characters in the back line to deal the majority of your damage, and buffers or healers to provide support, restore HP, or enhance your team's stats. A safe beginner setup I'd recommend is one tank, 2 to 3 DPS, and 1 healer. This lineup is balanced enough to help you survive the early stages without requiring overly complicated calculations. When it comes to resource management, this is where I see many beginners making mistakes. Instead of spreading your resources across every hero at the same time, focus your investment on 1 or 2 core heroes. You should also be strategic with your gacha pulls. Don't rush to summon every time you have enough resources. Think about whether it's better to invest in a new hero right now or continue strengthening your current lineup, because early game resources are always more limited than you might expect. Once you're comfortable with the basic concepts, this is where we get into my favorite part: advanced strategy for experienced players. What separates a strong team from a truly dominant one is synergy, meaning how well the abilities of your heroes work together. One classic combination you'll see in most strategy gacha games is pairing a hero who can control or slow enemies with a DPS character capable of dealing massive damage during that window of crowd control. Beyond internal team synergy, you also need to learn how to read your opponent's lineup. If the enemy has a lot of flying units, you'll want to bring heroes who can effectively counter them. If you're facing a very tanky team with high HP, you'll want heroes capable of piercing armor or dealing damage based on the enemy's maximum HP. This is what experienced players often refer to as counterpicking, and it can make the difference between clearing a difficult stage and being completely stuck on the same level. When it comes to character progression, Ancient Crown allows you to dive much deeper into its upgrade system through multiple layers. It's not simply about leveling up your characters. You also have to consider things like talent allocation and special equipment for each hero. This is where unique builds start to emerge. For example, a hero originally designed primarily as a support character can potentially be rebuilt into a damage dealer if you choose the right skill path and equipment. This can turn what initially looks like a secondary unit into a surprisingly powerful carry. For difficult stages, especially special content such as dungeon exploration or ruins adventure, I recommend switching from auto mode to manual control. Being able to manually time your abilities and knowing when to save your ultimate for a counterattack instead of using it immediately can be the difference between a narrow victory and a frustrating defeat. Moving on to the visuals and audio, this is probably one of Ancient Crown's clearest strengths. With its next-generation rendering technology and realistic particle effects, every ultimate ability feels visually satisfying. The lighting and magical effects have a surprising amount of depth instead of looking flat like many low-budget gacha games. Another major plus that many games in the genre don't offer is the professional voice acting, combined with appearances from well-known cosplayers. This makes the overall immersion feel much more convincing and engaging. As for the story, the Western fantasy world is developed with just enough depth to make you curious about the lore behind each hero in every region you explore, without turning the game into a massive novel that overwhelms you with exposition. It's a great balance for players who want something relaxing to play while still having an interesting story to follow alongside their team-building progression. And with that, let's wrap things up. The biggest strengths of Ancient Crown are its high-quality visuals, genuinely deep strategic systems rather than mindless button mashing, and unique game modes such as dungeon exploration, ruins adventure, and the all-server championship tournament, which give players plenty of reasons to keep playing in the long term. The main thing to keep in mind is that the game still requires fairly careful resource management during the early stages. And if you're someone who prefers fast and straightforward gameplay, it may take some time to get used to the deeper synergy and meta building systems. Overall, Ancient Crown is suitable for both casual players who simply want to relax with its idle mechanics and hardcore players who enjoy experimenting with their teams and optimizing every little detail. There's one more thing I want to share with those of you who are considering trying the game. Right now, there's a particularly noteworthy top-up promotion offering up to 99% off, meaning you could potentially get the same amount of resources for only around 1% of the original cost. If you're planning to invest heavily in a specific hero or simply want to speed up your early game progression, this could be a good time to consider it. I'll leave the link in the video description, so feel free to check it out. So that's everything you need to know about Ancient Crown, from the basic gameplay and advanced strategies to its visual quality and story. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the upcoming content, and let me know in the comments what kind of team you're currently building in the game. I'll see you guys in the next video.